Veronica was not your typical mother-in-law. I mean, not every mother-in-law is the same. Some come with prayers, wrappers, and love. Others come with lipstick, secrets, and destruction. Veronica was the second kind. She was the kind of woman who never accepted she was old, always saying things like, "I'm still hot," or "I'm still in town." She dressed like a teenager, short, see-through skirts, crop tops, long eyelashes, and heavy makeup that made people stare. She walked like the street still belonged to her, spoke with bold confidence, and never accepted that age had touched her. She didn't visit her daughters like a normal mother. She showed up like she was coming for a nightclub audition. To Veronica, her daughter's husband wasn't family. He was an opportunity, another fine man she could lay in bed with. And she did it not once, not twice, but multiple times. She wasn't just a problem, she was a storm. Meanwhile, across town, Nancy, her daughter, lived a very different life. Nancy was the kind of woman every man would be proud to have. Her skin was smooth like ripe mango, and her smile could calm a crying baby. She was kind, quiet, and very hardworking. Everyone who met her said the same thing. This girl is a wife material. Nancy had a man. His name was Emeka. He was tall like a coconut tree, with skin that shone like polished wood. His voice was soft, his steps gentle, and his heart was full of love. He had big houses, fine cars, big businesses, and plenty money in the bank. But above all, he had only one thing in mind: to marry Nancy and start a peaceful life with her. Nancy had everything a young woman could wish for: a good job, a gentle man, and a heart full of joy. But inside her chest, under her happiness, there was a small fear, a quiet fear that stayed like a lizard behind a cupboard. That fear was her mother, Veronica. Veronica was her mother by blood. Yes, but she was not like other mothers. She was different. And Nancy knew, deep down in her heart, that if anything was ever going to spoil her joy, it would come from that woman. But she never said it out loud. She just smiled and kept planning her wedding. Veronica was not a mother like Mama Nkechi or Mama Zainab. Number she was different, very different. She had Nancy when she was just a small girl herself, a teenager. Her parents chased her out of the house when they saw her belly growing like yam. She cried, she begged, but they shut the door and told her, "Go and face what you started." From that day, Veronica began to suffer. Under the hot sun, she carried oranges on her head. She sold sachet water at traffic. She begged strangers for coins. Her feet were always dusty and her stomach always empty. But Veronica had something: beauty. She was fine, too fine. Her skin glowed. Her body curved like a question mark, and men started to notice. One man came one night. He offered her food and a soft bed, but he wanted her body in return. She agreed. That night, her life changed. That was how Veronica entered the world of easy money. One man today, another man tomorrow. She began to wear short clothes, paint her lips red like tomato, and walk with her chest high like a peacock. She went from sleeping on cartons to sleeping in hotels, from begging for food to buying fried rice at night. But Nancy was there, a small girl, watching her mother move like the wind. Veronica raised her, yes, but not like a daughter, more like a project, like a handbag. She didn't hug her, she didn't guide her, she didn't teach her how to be a woman. She only shouted, "Clean the house," and "Look sharp." When Nancy became older and started to shine, Veronica would say, "My baby girl, you're becoming sweet, oh. Just don't forget your mama trained you well. But Nancy knew the truth. She trained herself because Veronica was too busy chasing nightclubs and rich men. Her laughter was loud. Her dresses were tight. Her words were sharp. People whispered behind her back, "Is that woman truly her mother?" And Nancy, she just kept quiet. Because how do you explain to the world that your mother behaves like your rival? But no matter what, she still loved her. Because even thorns still come from flowers. But little did she know, Emeka, her first boyfriend, will be her mother, Veronica's first victim. And that's why, when the wedding plan started, Nancy made one big decision. A decision that would change everything. One quiet afternoon, while Nancy and Emeka were drinking cold juice in the parlor, Nancy turned and said, "Baby, I want my mom to visit, just for a few days, before the wedding." Emeka paused. His cup stopped halfway to his mouth. He looked at her with gentle eyes. "Are you sure?" he asked. Nancy nodded. "She's my mother. I want her to see where I'll be living, just once." Emeka looked down thinking. Then he smiled slowly. "Okay, if it makes you happy." Nancy clapped like a child. "Thank you, baby." The next day, around in the evening, there was a knock on the door. Nancy ran with joy to open it. "Mommy," she shouted. And there she was, Veronica, dressed like someone going for a beauty contest. Her jeans were tight. Her top was off her shoulders. Her lipstick was red, like fire. Her perfume filled the air before her words came. She hugged Nancy tight, laughing. "My baby girl, you didn't tell me you were living like a queen." But as she spoke, her eyes were moving. Left, right, up, down, looking at the marble floor, looking at the chandelier, looking at the TV, looking at the gold-framed pictures. Her eyes were dancing like rain on rooftops. Then she saw Emeka, and her smile changed. Not louder, not wider, just deeper. Her eyes slowed down. Her lashes blinked like butterfly wings. Her lips moved in a small curve. Nancy pulled her forward. "Mom, meet my husband-to-be, Emeka." Veronica stretched her hand. "You're more handsome than I imagined," she said, her voice like cold water on hot skin. Emeka gave a polite smile. "You're welcome, Ma." That night, Veronica sat in the parlor like the house was hers. She crossed her legs. She laughed louder than the TV. She asked questions with eyes that talked more than her lips. Nancy brought food. Veronica looked at the soup and said, "This chicken tastes like money." Then she looked at Emeka and said, "Your woman is lucky, oh." She didn't look at Nancy once after that. Only Emeka. And Emeka noticed, but he said nothing. Because how do you tell your wife that her own mother is looking at you like meat in the market? From the very next morning, the house started to feel different. Veronica came out of the guest room wearing something that looked more like a handkerchief than real clothes. Her shorts were too short. Her top was so thin, it was almost see-through. She walked around the house like she was on a fashion runway. When she sat close to Emeka. When she laughed, it was loud, too loud. When she bent down to pick something, she didn't kneel like a mother. She bent from the waist, slowly, as if she wanted someone to look. And Emeka saw everything. One evening, as he sat quietly on the couch, Veronica came to sit beside him. Too close. Their arms touched. Emeka shifted a bit. Veronica moved closer again. She laughed and said, "You like sitting on this side of the couch, don't you?" Emeka gave a small, tight smile. "Yes, Ma." She placed her hand gently on his arm. "You have strong muscles. Do you go to the gym?" Emeka gently moved his arm away and stood up. "Let me go check something in the kitchen," he said. Veronica giggled. No problem. I'll wait. Another time, during lunch, Veronica sat across from him at the dining table. But under the table, her legs stretched out and rubbed against Emeka's leg. He quickly pulled back, shocked. Veronica acted like nothing happened. She just sipped her drink and smiled. Emeka's heart was racing. He was uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, but he didn't say a word. He didn't want to hurt Nancy. He didn't want to break her heart, so he kept quiet. He buried the truth deep inside, like a bitter pill. But every day, Veronica got bolder, and Emeka grew more silent. Because when a lion hides behind a woman's smile, danger is never far away. Then one night, it was a dark evening. Rain was falling like angry drums on the rooftop. Thunder was shouting. Wind was dancing with the curtains. Emeka sat alone in the parlor, watching TV, when his phone rang. It was Nancy. "Baby," she said, her voice soft and tired. "The rain here is too much. Everywhere is flooded. I don't think I can make it home tonight." Emeka sighed. "You sure?" "Yes, I'll just sleep at the office. First thing in the morning, I'll come home." Emeka nodded slowly. "All right. Be safe. I love you." "I love you too." The call ended, but Veronica had heard everything. She stood by the hallway, quiet like a cat. Her eyes were shining in the dark. She smiled. Later that night, Emeka smelled something sweet from the kitchen. He walked in and saw Veronica, wearing a long red gown that hugged her body like a snake on a tree. She turned and smiled. "I cooked for you. Your favorite." Emeka paused. "You didn't have to, but I wanted to," she said, placing the steaming plate on the table. They sat. Emeka ate quietly. Veronica sat beside him, too close again. She looked at him. "Cold night, Hoon?" Emeka nodded, still chewing. Veronica leaned closer. Her voice dropped like a whisper. "Cold nights are not for one person." Emeka shifted his eyes on the food. Then she asked softly, "Tell me the truth. Is Nancy good in bed?" Emeka froze. The spoon dropped from his hand. "Excuse me?" Veronica smiled slowly, like a fox in the farm. "You're a man. You can tell me. Some women are good outside, but dead inside. Nancy still behaves like a small girl." "Ma, please stop," Emeka said, standing up. Veronica stood too. "You don't have to pretend. I can make you forget the cold. Just one night. Nobody will know. I promise." Emeka looked at her confused, angry, lost. But Veronica stepped closer. Her hand touched his chest. Her breath touched his neck. Emeka stood like a tree in the wind, shaking but not moving. And outside the rain kept falling, like the sky knew what was about to happen. Emeka stood in the middle of the room, still thinking. His heart was beating fast. Veronica was standing close, too close. Her gown slipped off one shoulder. Her eyes were soft, her smile sweet, but behind it, danger was hiding. She whispered again, "Just one night. Nobody will know. I won't tell, I swear." Emeka looked away. His chest was rising and falling like troubled sea, but his feet didn't move. His thoughts didn't run. His mouth didn't speak. And slowly, he gave in. They entered the room. The bed that was made for him and Nancy became the place for something else. Veronica laughed softly. She touched him like he was hers. And Emeka, with shame in his bones, let it happen. Outside, the rain was still falling. But far away, Nancy was in a taxi. She had found a ride back home. She wanted to surprise Emeka. Even though her clothes were wet, her heart was warm. She smiled to herself. He will be so happy to see me. She reached the house, opened the door gently, and walked in. Everywhere was quiet, too quiet. She walked to the bedroom. She didn't knock. She turned the handle and pushed. and what she saw froze her like ice. Her mother, her own mother, lying in bed with Emeka, together, naked. Her mouth opened, her eyes stretched, her heart broke like calabash hitting the ground. Veronica screamed first. She pulled the bed sheet and shouted, "Nancy! I don't know what happened. I was sleeping. He came to me. I didn't know." Emeka sat up quickly, his chest rising and falling. "Nancy, please, let me explain." But Nancy was already shaking. Her hands trembled. Her lips opened, but no words came. Tears filled her eyes, and her voice cracked like dry wood. "Just hold it. You men are all the same." She turned away, entered the closet, and started packing her clothes. Her hands moved fast, but her tears moved faster. Emeka followed her. "It was a mistake. I swear, I didn't mean to. It just..." She raised her hand. "Don't talk." Veronica came closer, still acting like the victim. "I told him no. I begged him." Nancy looked at both of them, her own mother, her own fiancé, in the same bed. She zipped her bag. Her voice was low, like someone standing in fire. "You'll never see me again." She walked to the door and left. Her footsteps were heavy. Her heart was bleeding, but she didn't look back. The wedding was cancelled. The cake was never cut. The hole was never opened. The dress was never worn. Love had died that night, and trust was buried beside it. Nancy blocked Emeka's number. She deleted all their pictures. She took off her ring and threw it into the gutter. She didn't allow him speak. She didn't want to hear any story. As far as she was concerned, the man she loved slept with her own mother, and that was enough. She packed her things and moved into a small flat across town. The place was quiet. The windows faced the sky. She liked it that way. No one knew where Emeka went. He disappeared like smoke. His phone was off. His gate was locked. His office was empty. No calls, no messages, no goodbye. He was gone. Nancy cried sometimes at night, but not loud, just soft tears on her pillow. The kind of tears that burn the chest but don't make noise. She stood up every morning, went to work, came back home, ate small food, slept, and did the same thing again. One quiet evening, Nancy was sitting alone in a small restaurant. She was eating jollof rice, her eyes staring into space, her heart quiet. Then a shadow stood beside her table. "Excuse me," a soft voice said. "Can I sit with you?" She looked up. It was a man, well-dressed, calm eyes, gentle smile. His name was Jude. Nancy nodded slowly. "Yes, you can." And just like that, the door of her heart opened a little. Jude didn't rush her. He didn't ask too many questions. He didn't try to fix her pain. He just stayed. Day after day, they talked. They walked. They laughed small. Jude would say things like, "You're allowed to be happy again, and pain doesn't mean your story is over." Nancy started to smile more. She dressed brighter. She slept better. And after many months, she fell in love again. Jude was rich, yes, but that wasn't what she loved most. It was his quiet strength, his gentle way of holding her hand like it was glass, his habit of covering her when she fell asleep on the couch, his voice like calm wind after a storm. One Saturday morning, under a big tree, Jude knelt down. "Will you marry me?" Nancy looked at the ring. She looked at his face, and she said yes. They got married in a simple wedding. No noise, no drama, just peace. Nancy felt safe again. Her heart started beating normally again. But one evening, as they sat on the balcony, watching the sky turn orange, Jude turned to her and asked, "Nancy, when can I meet your mother?" At first, Nancy refused. I don't want her near my marriage again." But Jude kept asking gently, like someone knocking on a baby's door. "She's your mother," he said. "I just want to meet her." Days passed, weeks passed, and one morning, Nancy sighed and picked her phone. She called Veronica. "Mommy, Jude wants to meet you. Can you come?" Veronica smiled on the other end. "Of course, my baby. Anything for you." She came the next day. Same smile, same style, tight dress, loud perfume, lipstick red like blood. She hugged Nancy, but her eyes were already on Jude. The moment she saw him, her smile stretched. Ah, you've done well for yourself," she whispered to Nancy later. "This one looks like your type." Veronica acted nice at first, helping with house chores, laughing small, playing mother. But inside her chest, something dark was growing. She wanted Jude. She started cooking his meals. "Eat, my son-in-law," she would say with sugar in her voice. She started complimenting his clothes. "You smell so nice," she said one morning. Then one evening, she walked into the kitchen where Jude was washing a cup. She stood behind him and placed her hand on his shoulder. Jude turned slowly. Veronica smiled. "You don't have to be shy," she whispered. "Do you want a taste of me?" Jude's heart jumped. He stepped back, removed her hand, and walked away without a word. His chest was burning, his eyes wide with shock. The storm he feared had returned, and this time it had come wearing a mother's face. That night, the house was too quiet. Jude couldn't sleep. He sat at the edge of the bed, rubbing his palms together. Then he turned to Nancy. "Babe, I need to tell you something." Nancy sat up slowly. "What is it?" Jude took a deep breath. "Your mom, she touched me today. She said she wants a taste of me." Nancy's face changed. "What did you just say?" Jude nodded. "I'm serious. She came to me. I didn't respond. I left immediately." But Nancy's voice rose like thunder. "Are you accusing my mother?" "I'm telling you the truth," Jude said. Nancy stood up. "You think my mother would say such a thing? She suffered for me. She raised me. Please respect yourself, Jude." Jude was shocked. "So you don't believe me?" Before he could say another word, Veronica walked in. She had been listening. She dropped to her knees, her hands shaking, her face full of fake tears. "Nancy," she cried. "He touched me when I came out of the bathroom. He told me to bathe with him. I said no. I begged him. He's lying," Nancy gasped. "Jude, is this true?" Jude's eyes widened. "What? That's not..." Veronica cried louder. "I was just walking out. I didn't even have towel on my chest. And he said I should come inside. He said he won't tell anybody." Nancy stood still. Her ears were ringing. Her legs were weak. She looked at her mother, then at Jude. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Silence filled the room like smoke. Jude picked up his bag. He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He just looked at Nancy, then looked at Veronica. Then he dropped his wedding ring on the table and walked out of the house. Door slam. Nancy fell to the floor, holding her chest. Her breathing was fast. Her eyes were lost. Another man, gone. Another home, broken, and the same hands behind it. But this time, the pain was deeper, because now she didn't know who to believe. After Jude left, the house became dry. No more laughter, no more morning kisses, no more soft hands holding her at night. Nancy stopped smiling. Her eyes looked like rain that forgot how to fall. She woke up early, went to work, came back late. No calls, no visitors, just silence. Veronica stayed a little longer. She cooked, she cleaned, she said sweet things. "My baby, you'll be fine," she would whisper. Nancy nodded, but her eyes didn't blink. Her heart was not there. At night, she laid on the bed and stared at the ceiling like it held answers. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. The pain sat quietly inside her like a stone underwater. One morning, Veronica picked her bag. "I'll be going now. I'll check on you later." Nancy didn't say anything. She just nodded. Veronica hugged her. "You'll find someone better. Don't worry." Nancy didn't hug back. The door closed behind Veronica, and peace returned, but it was not soft peace. It was empty peace. Nancy became a ghost in her own life. No makeup, no heels, no music. She worked hard, came home, slept, woke up, repeated. Even her phone stayed silent. She no longer believed in love or people. Not after Emeka, not after Jude, not after her own mother. Her heart was locked, and she threw the key into a river. And for a long time, nothing changed. Until one day, in a quiet restaurant, a stranger said softly, "Can I sit with you?" She looked up. A man stood there, not loud, not proud, just calm. His name was Femi. His smile was gentle. His shirt was clean. His eyes didn't rush. Nancy nodded, yes. And that's how it started. Femi didn't ask too many questions. He didn't chase her like others did. He spoke slowly, like someone who had no plans to break anything. He brought her books, sent her morning texts, made her laugh again, little by little, and slowly, her heart opened like morning flowers. Femi had everything. A good house, a good job, a gentle voice, and a heart full of peace. He treated Nancy like she was glass, precious and careful. One evening, while walking hand in hand under the moon, he said softly, "Nancy, will you be my wife?" Tears filled her eyes. She nodded. Yes, the wedding was quiet, just like her heart wanted. No crowd, no noise, just peace. Nancy looked at herself in the mirror that day and whispered, "This time, I will not lose." But she didn't tell Femi about Emeka. She didn't tell him about Jude. And most of all, she didn't tell him about Veronica. She buried the past deep, like a secret box under the earth. Months later, Nancy got pregnant. Femi was overjoyed. He kissed her forehead, held her belly, and danced in the kitchen with her. But one evening, while she was resting on the couch, he sat beside her and said gently, "You're carrying our child now. You need someone around. Your mother should come stay with you." Nancy's smile dropped. Her heart beat fast. She sat up slowly. "No, it's fine. I can manage." Femi looked at her with concern. "You shouldn't stress yourself. She's your mother." Nancy looked away. "She's busy." Femi frowned a little. "Nancy, is there something I should know?" She shook her head quickly. "No, nothing." Femi felt confused. "Why don't you want her to come? Did something happen?" Nancy stayed quiet, but the pressure kept growing like heavy clouds. And one day, she gave in. She picked her phone with shaky fingers and dialed, "Mommy, I'm pregnant." Veronica screamed from the other end, "Ayi, my baby, I'm coming." 3 days later, she arrived. Same red lipstick, same tight clothes, same perfume that filled the whole house like smoke. Nancy opened the door. "Welcome, Mom." Veronica hugged her tight. Then her eyes found Femi. He greeted her warmly, smiling. "Welcome, Ma." Veronica stared at him like a hawk. Her heart danced without music. Tall, calm, handsome, beard trimmed, voice soft. She licked her lips slightly and smiled. "You chose well, Nancy." Nancy felt something cold in her chest, a warning. Veronica unpacked her bags and made herself at home. But her eyes never left Femi. She wanted him. Again. Veronica, moved through the house like smoke with no shape. Everywhere she passed, something felt off. She woke up early to cook, not for Nancy, for Femi. She served him breakfast with too much smile. "Eat, my son," she said softly, brushing his hand. Femi forced a thank you, but inside, he was not comfortable. Veronica praised his shirts, touched his shoulder when walking past, laughed at every small thing he said. Nancy saw it, but she said nothing. Until one day, Veronica knocked softly on Femi's door while Nancy was asleep. He opened it halfway, confused. "Yes, Ma?" She stepped in slowly and whispered, "Nancy is pregnant. You can't touch her now, for months, but I'm here if you need something." Femi froze. His ears didn't believe what they heard. "Ma, please don't ever say that again," he said firmly and shut the door. The next morning, he told Nancy. Her eyes widened. "My mother said that?" Femi nodded. "Yes, last night." But instead of shock, Nancy's face turned red with anger. "Femi, please respect yourself," she shouted. "How can you say such a thing about my mother?" Femi blinked. "I'm telling you what happened. She raised me. She suffered for me. And now you're accusing her?" They fought that night. Words flew like stones. Doors slammed. Veronica sat quietly in the living room listening, smiling to herself. Later that evening, she entered the bedroom, her face full of tears. "Nancy," she cried, "your husband, he tried to touch me. He came to my door last night. He told me to follow him to the bathroom. I told him no. I told him I'm your mother." Nancy's heart shook. Again, her mother or her husband. Two voices, one truth, but she didn't know which one to believe, and the walls of her heart began to crack once more. The house turned cold, not from the weather, but from silence. Nancy stopped talking much. Femi kept his distance. Veronica moved like nothing happened. Femi avoided her. He left the house early, came home late, ate less, spoke less. But Veronica didn't stop. She wore shorter wrappers. Her tops dropped lower. Her perfume grew stronger. Her eyes followed Femi like a hunter in the forest. One night, Nancy was fast asleep. Pregnancy pills had pulled her deep into sleep, mouth slightly open, breathing soft. Femi came home tired. His shoulders were heavy. His mind was dark. He dropped his bag, removed his shoes, and walked to the kitchen. As he poured water into a glass, he heard the bathroom door creak open. He turned. Veronica stood there, half naked. Just a towel, no bra, no pant. She bent down slowly to pick something, letting the towel rise. Femi's throat dried. He blinked and turned away. "Good night, Ma," he said quickly, walking past. But Veronica followed. "Why are you running?" she whispered. "I know you want it. You're a man. Nancy is pregnant. You've been quiet for weeks. Let me take care of you." Femi's heart beat fast. He walked to the living room, but she followed. "Just one time," she said. "No one has to know." His hands shook. His legs were weak. And that night, he fell. He followed her into the guest room. He touched what he wasn't supposed to touch. He took what didn't belong to him and did what he was not supposed to do. Afterward, he sat on the floor, holding his head. Shame covered him like smoke, but it was too late. The next night, it happened again and again. It became a habit, a secret sin wrapped in fear. He hated himself, but he couldn't stop, because once you open a dark door, it doesn't close easily. Weeks passed, and Veronica started acting strange. She woke up late. She didn't eat much. Sometimes she sat quietly, holding her stomach. Sometimes she vomited after breakfast. Nancy noticed. "Mommy, are you okay?" she asked one morning. Veronica forced a small smile. Just tired. Maybe it's malaria. Nancy didn't agree. Let's go to the hospital. Veronica said no, but Nancy insisted. They went. The doctor ran tests, blood, scan, urine. Then he came back, holding a small paper in his hand. He gave it to Nancy. She opened it slowly. Her eyes stopped at one line. Pregnancy test. Positive. Estimated 8 weeks. Nancy's hands shook. She looked up at the doctor. Pregnant? She whispered. Yes, he said gently. Nancy turned to her mother. Silence. Her voice rose. Mommy, whose pregnancy is this? Veronica looked down. Nancy took a step closer. Her voice cracked. Mommy, who got you pregnant? Veronica raised her eyes slowly. Her lips open. Femi. The world broke. Nancy staggered back. Her hand grabbed the chair. Her knees bent. She fell to the floor, holding her stomach, crying from somewhere deep, where words don't reach. Her own mother, her own husband, again. The doctor rushed to her. Nurses came running, but no injection could stop that kind of pain. No drip could calm that kind of storm. Nancy didn't scream. She didn't shout. She just cried quietly, like a child left in the rain. And Veronica sat beside her, saying nothing. Because what can you say when shame is louder than truth? The next morning, Femi woke up. The house was too quiet. He checked the kitchen empty, checked the bedroom empty, checked the closet empty. Nancy was gone. No note, no message, no goodbye, just silence. He searched everywhere, called her friends, called her office. Nothing. She had vanished, and she took her unborn child with her. Veronica stayed behind, her belly growing, her eyes losing shine. The house was cold. No laughter, no love, no peace. She gave birth 2 months early, a baby girl. But the child was sick, tiny, pale, breathing slow, crying weakly. The doctor said she has a rare blood condition. She needs special care. Veronica had no money. She posted online, "Please help me save my daughter." But instead of help, people insulted her. Homebreaker, shameless mother, God is punishing you. No one came. No hand reached out. And 3 months later, the baby died. Veronica sat on the floor of her small apartment, holding the baby's clothes, rocking back and forth, whispering songs to a ghost. Her eyes were empty. Her heart was gone. She went mad. People said they saw her talking to walls, sleeping outside, holding a doll like it was a real child. One rainy evening, a hospital sent a message. Veronica was dead. Stroke. She died on a metal bed. No visitor, no family, no picture on the wall. Just one paper beside her that said, "Nancy, forgive me." Nancy saw the message. She didn't cry. She just sat in her small new home, holding her baby boy. His name was Zion. She kissed his head and whispered, "It ends with her. No more pain, no more lies, no more chains. The curse was broken." I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, share it with your family and friends, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more enchanting tales like this one. Goodbye.